Hello folks, welcome to our canal Channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to adjust the drum brake system on a 91 to a 94 Toyota Tercel. The drum system on the back for a Toyota is almost the same, but today we're going to show you how you do an adjustment on a drum system for a Toyota Tercel. And all you have to understand is that this brake system, as time goes on and the brakes or the shoes wear down, you have to go in there personally and adjust them so you can get the brakes to work right, because sometimes they wear down that when you press the brakes they're not completely touching, so you're losing braking system on the rear, so all the weight is going to the front. So today we're going to show you how we do that adjustment, and this is done when you put brand new shoes or the system has been there for a long time, so you want to adjust them back. Once they wear down, you adjust it. So we're going to show you how you can adjust them. So for this Toyota, we're going to have to be doing is we have to remove this cap, because there's a nut that holds the drum against the braking system, so we can expose what we're looking for, so that way when you do your adjustments you know where to look in the back plate. So we're going to remove this, the nuts and everything, and then we're going to take the drum off so we can expose the system. So now that we have removed the cap that protects all this structure, we remove this cutter pin, this metal that protects or keeps the nut from spinning. Is a safety mechanism, so it doesn't loosen the nut and then this whole structure starts wobbling. So we take the cutter pin, the sheet metal, and then we loosen the nut, and then we extract our drum. You want to make sure that the drum is loose so you don't have the e-brake on, so that way it pulls out. Remember, there's grease inside here, so be careful when you pull them out because the bearings are in there as well. So now the drum brake system, what their job is that there's a piston here, and when you press the pedal, the fluid comes into this and it creates pressure forward and back, so it pushes against these points right here, so that pushes both shoes outwards, so that when the drum is spinning, and then that slows down the car. But when they're not adjusted right, there's so much gap between the brake shoe and the drum, all the job work is being sent to the front, because these guys are not stopping the car as when the pedal is pushed. So we're gonna have to adjust it, and these guys, the piston, all his job is to do is to push the brakes out, but this doesn't adjust the brakes. The adjustment point is right here. This is what we're looking for. But before we start messing with the adjustment point, we're going to show you how the brakes work. So what we just saw is that we applied the e-brake, and this shoe was being opened outwards, but when the whole drum is installed, once this touches the outer, it sends pressure against this one, so it opens both of them, it pushes outwards and outwards, so these two shoes are slowing down the drum. When both of them touches the inner shelf or the drum, as it's spinning, both of them open, so this gets open and they touch all the way around the drum, so they start slowing it down. But if these are not adjusted, what's going to happen is that these two are not going to have enough force or pressure against the drum to slow it down. So that's why the adjustment comes in. This is where it gets adjusted. So we're going to show you how to adjust it. So now this is the adjustment point. This is a gear. It has teeth, and there's a sheet metal on the back that keeps the gears from spinning with the vibration. So what we have to do is we have to spin this so it comes out of this to spread them open. It's attached to this brake shoe and this other brake shoe, so it splits them out. That gets him closer to the drum brake system. So we're gonna adjust it to where they come in closer to show you what we mean. So when they come in closer, it's getting farther away from the drum, so it's harder for them to reach the braking point. So we're gonna bring him in. As you can see, it's moving in. So at this point we have brought in this brake shoe in, so it got farther away from the outside, so that means that it wouldn't brake correctly. So what we need is we gotta turn this to where this shows more threads, so that means that the more threads is pushing this guy outwards, and it's gonna get this brake shoe to touch or get closer to the inner face of the drum. So we're gonna open it to show you what we mean by splitting them open. But there's a sheet metal on the back that keeps these from spinning with a vibration, so that's a safety feature. So now to adjust it, we're using a flathead screwdriver, and we get it through the back. There's an opening, and then that's why you want to know where your system, if you can expose it so you know where your system is. And we're going to be pushing against those teeth and make it spin it. And what this does is opening the brake shoes away from each other, so that way we adjust it to the opening to the opening point. But we have to have the drum on to do this process, so that's why we want to show you how we're doing it without the drum, but the drum has to be on so it gets adjusted against the drum. So for that, we're going to try to show you through the back how we're doing it. So right behind the drum, there's the brake line where it goes into the structure. This is the little piston. This is the bleeding system of the oil, or the hydraulic oil. And there's this opening right here. There's this rubber or grommet that covers this opening, and you can slide your tool and your screwdriver, and you can start spinning the gears once you know what you're looking for, the gear to adjust the drum brake system. So when you're doing this, you gotta know what you're pushing through the front. So that's why we recommend to remove that drum, so you know when you're spinning it, so you get the feeling when you're spinning it or pushing up against something else. So once you know that you're spinning it with your screwdriver, then you can put the drum on, and then you can start adjusting it with your screwdriver or your tool. So we have to put everything back together as it was to adjust it, because we cannot adjust it like this. So we put everything back on. So when you put new brake shoes on a drum system, what you want to do is you start from the closest, and then you start working yourself outwards, so you are able to put slide in your drum. So if you have a drum system, you want to start and slide them in out by hand, and then fit your drum. And as it gets tighter or as it gets harder to put in, you stop there. And then once you put everything together, and if it spins, now you start your adjustment. But you just want to get it near to where you can slide your drum in, and you don't have them too much open where your drum cannot get in. So you just want to have them ready to do the adjustment. So now that we have all that, we tighten in our drum, and then we start the adjustment through the back. So now that we have put our drum back in, we can spin it with no problem. Now we have to adjust the brake shoes, so we have just barely some friction against it, so they're ready to be applied and they can work as they should. So right now there's no friction, so we're gonna have to adjust them through the back. So now we're ready to adjust them, and we can see the gears right there where we gotta push in to it, so we can adjust the drums brakes. And then we are gonna push into it downwards, so we spin it, and as we spin it, we're gonna be spinning our drum to see how much adjustment we're getting and how much friction we're putting against the drum. So we adjust that by pushing with the screwdriver, and then that's why you gotta know your brakes, which way you gotta spin them before you start spinning, or you might twist or bend something inside there. Now we reached the point where we're getting a little friction from the brake shoes because we've been adjusting it. So that's why you gotta have the drum on and spin it to find out when it's touching, it's starting to touch. So right now we're about to do it one more, and then we should be good. What you gotta do is you gotta put the tire on and do the final adjustment with the tire. So you wanna have about 2 spins with the tire on. So we do that. So now we have put the tire on and we can spin him, and it keeps spinning. What you want is you want to have about 2 and then slow down. So we adjust it just a little bit more. The drum system is less efficient than the disc brake system, because these have more components and less efficient and more problematic and more less efficient. It's just more and less of everything. So that's why it's not being used on the newer cars, and it's the disc brakes now were 2 piston, 4 piston, 6 piston. There's just more pistons on the disc brakes now, and this is just a single little piston that is doing all the job to create the pressure into the drum, and it's just less efficient. That's why it's so problematic to do. So this was just an idea how to adjust these brake systems because they're on our cars and it needs to be attended. So now what we do is we just put our little access plug or grommet, and we should be almost done with the system. So now every adjustment or every bolt or nut that you take off on this system, you want to put it back in and adjust it the right way. Put the grommet in the back, because that keeps the splashing water coming into the brake system and creating problems or trouble. So, and also when you do the adjustment, you want to make sure that you leave it to where it does about 2.5 turns. That's what I was recommended. So, and then you want to tighten all your bolts and nuts that you have taken off and put it back as it was. So this is just an idea how you can adjust. This is just to do the adjustment on the brake system. This wasn't a replacement. This was just an adjustment. So we uncover everything so you could see what the system looks like and what you're looking for. And well, folks, we wanted to give you an idea how a drum brake system can be adjusted. So when you do the adjustment, you might notice that the handle might come up all the way to the halfways instead of going all the way to the top like it used to be. So at that point, I'll recommend that you replace your brakes, because if you got the system exposed and you're noticing a lot of debris, or the brake pads, the brake shoes are worn down and they look pretty thin, replace them. So you start with a brand new fresh set of brakes and with a good adjustment on the system. So that's one thing I can say, that if you pull the lever and you notice that it goes way too far up, that's giving you that's telling you that you need brakes or an adjustment on the drum system. So for those who haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. If you like our video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal de Chano Jose.